What is up, Nerf Nation? I'm Naptown Nerf, and I'm going to show you how I did this. Alright, today we're going to take a look at this thing, see what kind of improvements we can make to it. One thing I've noticed is this air restrictor really likes to just pop out these darts. If you just move it like a little bit, it just, see, like that. So that AR might be an issue, so we're definitely going to remove that. And then we're going to try to make this shoot elite darts and rifle balls also. So first I just need to remove these darts and undo these screws. Alright, so we're going to take this whole bit out here. Let's take a look at this first. Let's see if that just came apart. Like, that's super easy, guys. That air restrictor. Oh, hold up. Time out. Look at this. Look at this. This is hilarious. This could have something to do with the reason why the performance was so bad. That was just stuck in the end of the plunger tube. It was not even attached to this. Well, if that was like that while I was firing, that might have made the performance a little worse. That's for sure. Alright, we can just pull this piece out. That's easy. The spring, all that comes out. And you can just toss that stuff. And then, oh, that just pops out too. So, that's pretty easy. All that stuff we don't need. And then, let's see here. Keep this piece. I think I want to cut this lip down and then move this up to here to remove dead space. That's going to shift the whole plunger tube though forward. Okay. And then it pulls right off. So I just pried those back and then pulled that off. But now we can just remove this spring. So we're going to take a look at this. What I want to do is I'm going to cut this part down. Alright, so I went ahead and I set my calipers to 1/4 inch and I just scored I put it up against here and I just scored all the way around. Okay, I've gotten that sanded down flush now. And there's a little tab on the inside of this, and it's right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a tab right here. And we need to trim that down flush to the rim. So you could probably do that with some sandpaper or a Dremel. And we'll go ahead and do that. So that's flush. And then we'll try to connect that plunger tube. But let's just see how it fits here first. We're probably going to have to remove this tab too, so it'll fit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with just an X-Acto blade. Always cut away from yourself. There we go. Popped right off. That's pretty good. We'll see how this fits. Probably going to have to sand this down a tad to get to fit in there. And then I might even take this rim down just a touch too, so it'll fit in there nicely. So we'll sand down that plunger tube here a bit so it doesn't push out like that. And it should fit in there pretty nicely, hopefully. You guys can't see me, but I'm wearing safety glasses. Always wear safety glasses when you're using a Dremel. So basically it's this little trial and error. Make sure you don't sand too much, obviously. It's a thin lip. You don't want to remove the whole thing. But you just want to get it so it'll fit in there nicely. And that is pretty darn close. I might just go a touch more. The next step is to try to figure out what we need to do with this plunger. And how to attach the plunger head. It's going to have to be extended and so we can fill, so it can travel all the way, since we've extended the length of the barrel or the plunger tube. So I started off with 3/32, and then this is a 5/32 drill bit. That is a little tight for this. That'll allow it to screw in and should give us a little bit better fit. So I'm going to screw that in there to give it some threads, and then I'll be able to unscrew it and go from there. One thing to note is you want to make sure it definitely goes underneath this, because this is your catch, and if you drill through your catch, that probably will not be so good. Okay guys, so I have taken this piece, which is what was in here, which this is what held your air restrictor in, and that's the front for where the plunger head used to hit. And I just I snipped out the center of it and sanded down the four little edges that were left over. And I'm going to epoxy this into the middle of the plunger head. I probably won't show you guys this, but if you want to know how to epoxy two parts like this together, I have a tutorial on my YouTube channel. Alright, I went ahead and drilled a hole through there after letting this cure for a day. Used a little bit bigger drill bit, 3/16 to drill through there. Just try to get it in the center as much as possible. You want to make sure your bolt fits down in there nice and as flush as possible. Okay, I'm going to use a super glue. This is I'm going to use that to start out because I want something that will drip down in there. Epoxy is a little bit thicker, so it's not going to drip down in there very easily. Super glue will, so I'm going to use super glue to start, and then I'll probably fill it up. Alright, that's completely filled up with epoxy now, and we're going to let that part sit at least a day, I would say. Don't put that into the blaster yet. Just let it sit there for a day. We'll go and work on something else. Okay, now we're going to work on this, and I've cut myself a small piece of 9/16 brass. This is going to act as a coupler. I'm going to need some E-tape to make sure this is centered in here, and then we'll glue it inside. Alright, so I have this so it's a nice good fit, but just a little loose, which is fine because we're going to put glue on this and secure it in here. Before we do so, we're going to score the inside of the barrel here so it has something to adhere to. Okay, so I'm going to have this sit flush with this part of this, so I'm going to have it here, and I'm going to push it all the way down so it's flat with the table there. So this is your 17/32 brass that'll end up being your barrel. I'm going to stick that in there, and I'm going to actually have some E-tape on there so I make sure it's nice and straight. Also, I think that maybe it might be a good idea to open this up just a touch, just so it's easier to get the barrel in and out. Use a dry toothpick to kind of make sure you don't get any on the edge there. If you did, you can try to get it off because you want your tube to still fit in there nicely. Alright, we're going to let that sit for a while and wait for it to dry. Alright, so this isn't cured yet, but it's in a stable state, so I can go ahead and work on the rest of this. Before you glue this onto here, I still want to remove some of this dead space. I think I'm going to try to do that with hot glue, but I don't want to get it too far to where it's going to affect my adhesion with this. I just very carefully hot glued around here and then used a wet thumb and blotted that down so it was flush with the surface, so it's still flat for the most part right there. And didn't want to get it in my barrel and wanted to keep it away from the outside edge so I can still glue this in. It's nice to use hot glue because it's easy to remove. If you mess it up, you can take it off and try again. But just try to keep the area clean on the outside so you can still glue this on. Okay, so before I glue this onto here, I really want this to be a very, very good connection. I've sanded, scored around both sides. I made sure those areas were clean after using epoxy and hot glue. I really cleaned those edges up. And now I'm going to do the last step, and I'm going to use this mineral spirits and take a Q-tip and clean it up just to make sure there's no dust or glue or anything excess on. That would really work well too. Just make sure you have everything lined up well. That's why I marked it, so everything should be good. We'll let that dry. Make sure that cures for the full 24 hours before you do anything with it. Okay guys, so I just wanted to let you know that you do need to file this part down to get it to fit in the shell. You just need to file it down just a little bit until it will fit. Okay guys, I've tested it and this will fit and work just fine. This is a Home Depot spring. It comes in a 4-pack. You get 2 of these springs and 2 smaller springs, and you can find those at Home Depot. But I think I'm going to be able to get this K26 to work, and as you can see, I've filed down just a touch. I mean, it doesn't take much, just a touch on the corners here on the catch portion, just enough so that slides over there pretty smoothly. I might go just a touch more, but that's getting to be pretty good there. I've gotten a piece of K26 on here and seems to catch reasonably okay. Once I haven't tested it, I needed to upgrade the catch. It wasn't quite holding as well as I would like. So I've added another spring here. We'll see how that works. I'll let you know on that. But it's putting a lot of pressure on this spring rests on the back of this plastic piece here before the catch, and since it doesn't have a flat surface like a normal spring like this does, it puts a lot of pressure on one point. So I wanted to just make this a lot tougher, and so I'm adding a piece of polycarb to this side of it, and I've kind of measured this and cut it out to the shape of the inside there. It kind of tapers down here and comes in like this. It's kind of funky, but not too difficult. And so I just made that shape. And now I'm going to trace out the inside here and cut out the inside. And then I'll just epoxy this on the back here, so it'll just give it a lot more strength. Alright, this is pretty basic modding here, but we're going to increase the seal. This is a very loose O-ring and very thin, but I haven't found anything to replace it with that will fit in my arsenal at the moment, so we'll just put some E-tape on that and or on this, and then that'll make it a little thicker and increase that seal a little bit better. You want to now put some silicone grease on there. You can get some at Ace like this, and you need to we'll obviously have to re-lubricate this and the plunger tube. But before we do that, I need to add a pad here, and we also are going to add some epoxy into this hole just to make this stronger. I might add a little epoxy around this too. Once you put the epoxy on in here, obviously you won't be able to adjust this anymore, so you want to wait to do that to make sure you have this right where you want it. So this is just a piece of craft foam. Works really well. This thing is done. It's awesome, and it's working great. It's catching well. It's got a lot of power. Great seal. I'd say that's a pretty darn good seal. And I've created 2 barrels. I think this is the proximity barrel from the Modulus line. I think that's what they call it. I think that looks pretty sweet. So yeah, there's a look at that. I think that looks pretty awesome, and it fits just nice. I haven't done any gluing or anything. It just fits nicely over the stock barrel. And this hasn't been glued into the barrel yet, but it's something I probably will do down the line. But it's just E-taped in there, and I put some E-tape on the back side of this brass so it will slide in pretty easily, and you will be able to find your coupler in there. Usually goes in pretty nicely just like that. And that's about a little over 7.5 inches of brass, and it's 17/32. And then I also have just a short piece of brass here that goes in, and then it just allows you to be able to front load it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can answer them if I can, obviously. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Peace, guys.